Today we have Duncan Moir. He was a Hedera Governing Council representative for Aberdeen for a really long time. He remains involved in the Hedera Council as a board member, and he just got a new role at 21 Shares as president. So to start, Duncan, I want to say congratulations. We're really proud of you for your new position, and welcome.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm really excited to be here. Actually, I've seen how much fun Rob has on your shows, and I've been a little bit jealous to miss out.
Well, you are more than welcome to come back whenever you'd
Thank
like. We
you.
could make it a regular spot if you want. But I saw the interview that you did with our friends over at All in Crypto, and I thought you did a really good job giving your highlights of what you're doing at 21 Shares, as well as just a high level overview of the crypto space in general. And I didn't want to be repetitive, so considering what my show is, I thought we could focus on Hedera and the
Yeah,
potential crossroads between the Hedera network and 21 Shares. Sound right?
sounds great.
All right. So first, Duncan, can you start just by telling us what it was like and what your experience was like as a Hedera Governing Council representative for Aberdeen, and what inspired you to stay on board as a board member? We know that's a really big commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to run through that. I mean, look, the council is an amazing thing, and so getting to be involved with all the my colleagues or former colleagues from all the other council members, bunch of people from many different sectors. It's super diverse in that sense. It was really exciting, to be honest, like really exhilarating to be part of it. It's kind of one of these things where you get out what you put in. So, of course, as a council member, you have sort of the minimum obligations to be involved, but there's just so many opportunities to get more involved in the network, and then also get involved with the ecosystem partners, with the grantees, a bunch of different things, and it was such a good experience. And I guess I was probably, you could say I was probably one of the more active representatives as well. That I wanted to continue with a lot of the good work that we'd done over the last couple of years, and I was already a board member, but then due to some of the reforms that have been going, some of the things we've been working on, improving governance, streamlining processes, we held fresh elections for the board, and I was fortunate enough to be nominated for the board in a new position, and then re-elected. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody execute on the things that we've been putting in place for the past, well, actually all through 2024.
Well, you're the perfect person to remain on the board as an outside board member. Now, the next thing I want to get into is with your new position at 21 Shares, you're paying attention to all kinds of different networks, and of course, you're intimately familiar with what's going on with Hedera. That makes you almost uniquely positioned to give a perspective on what Hedera's biggest strengths are and maybe some possible areas for improvement. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you're right. I do get to see a lot of what's out there. We have strong at 21 Shares. We're the largest provider of cryptocurrency exchange traded products, and so we work very closely with different foundations as well across each network. So get to see a lot of what's out there. Look, I think you've probably heard me say before all the reasons that I thought Hedera was interesting from the very beginning, and of course that all holds true, but particularly today, in the sort of the political climate that we're within, and the exciting time for DLT, for cryptocurrency, I think one of the things that Hedera has really excelled at is in navigating that political arena, and a lot of the great policy work that's been done by Nilmani Rubin is maybe not talked about enough, but it's one of the little gems of the chain that I think is going to be really important going forward. Of course, speed, security, low cost, all those things are all great, but that one's really important. And then another one that no one ever talks about as well is the geofencing that exists with the nodes. And as Hedera sees greater adoption by in particular financial services companies, ensuring that any fees are not going to anyone in any kind of sanctioned countries, any sanctioned entities. That's going to be really important for some of these big companies as they look to onboard the technology.
That makes perfect sense. And what about some areas where we might be able to see a little bit of improvement?
Oh, well, there's always more that
Sure.
can be done, right? Like even Apple and Google have things that they can improve upon. So um, maybe coming back to the previous points, some of the things that I think are really great, maybe we don't talk about enough. And so we can do a lot more to articulate our strengths to the market. Maybe we've been a little bit shy to do that in the past, but we shouldn't be. We should be really proud of what's been created and be a lot more vocal. And I do think that you're going to see that change, right? The changes that have happened with the change in management at THF, Charles. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. The go-to-market's going to be much stronger.
And it's going to be easier to do that considering the changes in the regulatory, the legislative
Oh,
landscape that we're seeing coming forward. That's going to be easier for them
without
to
a
do,
doubt,
right?
absolutely. I think we can be a little bit more relaxed now. Not that we want to take any unnecessary risks, but I think we can. There are going to be fewer blockers. I think to success in the at least in the near future.
All right. So now I want to get into your new role here a little bit. Do you see any areas where Hedera and 21 shares could potentially work together?
Well, I knew this question was coming, right? Look, people know that 21 Shares is an investment firm, and so what we do is we launch, let's call it, we take Web3 and we put it into Web2 financial products, right, to make cryptocurrency investing easy. So the most obvious place to look is a product on HBAR, which I know a lot of people in the community have been asking about. Hopefully, everybody understands that I can't talk about future or whether they happen or not financial products on like openly like this. But what I would ask is that people sort of separate my role on the board, which is oversight and support of the executive of the LLC to make sure things are running well, and then my role at 21 Shares where I'm president. If something like that happens, it's going to be because it makes sense both 21 Shares and for Hedera. I mentioned earlier that we work very closely with the different foundations, so that we'll need to make sure that it works both for both sides, of the equation there to see if something happens in the future. But that would be the most obvious one.
Yeah, completely understood there. How about in other places like tokenization? Of course, the ETPs that you provide are going to be traded on exchanges and things like that. And we see a lot of potential. And, with the Nairobi Securities Exchange and things like that, we see places where exchanges are looking at tokenization to make their operations more efficient. So, what about along those lines?
So we our products are listed on traditional securities exchanges, but you will find that a lot of them they have their digital arms as well, right? So we're listed on the SIX stock exchange in here in Zurich. They have SDX, their digital exchange. Same with Deutsche Börse, Börse Stuttgart, all the different exchanges. Um, for us, we're just still very focused on putting crypto into the traditional financial products. So tokenization is not on our roadmap. We have a sister company, 21 Co Technologies, which is very much focused on everything on chain. So that's exactly in their wheelhouse, and they're building out their pipeline of offerings right now.
So, this next one, I'm sure this has crossed your mind, but I'm not sure how much you've thought about it. Do you see the potential of 21 Shares ever becoming a Hedera Governing Council member?
Oh, you see, you do know what's on my mind. Look, of course I've thought about it, but that's part. Maybe I'm partly biased because the Hedera and the council is so important to me. The answer is probably similar to the product answer, and that's if it makes sense for both of us. As I've just said, we're not going to be looking at tokenization within 21 Shares. It's not in our on our roadmap. And so where we potentially could add value to the council is in providing a good overview of what we see in the industry and helping kind of guide potentially strategy, for example, or fill gaps, help people fill gaps that need filled. So that's where we could add value. But but it also needs to make sense for 21 shares as well. So I don't want to get anyone, excited today, but know that if it doesn't happen, it's because it wasn't good for Hedera as well.
Sure, understood. So I know you're mainly focused on the traditional financial space and working with those traditional rails, but I'm also kind of curious because we're all excited about the tech. Are there any other verticals that you pay attention to that you're interested in that have gotten you excited that either Hedera is working on or maybe some from some other network as far as DPIN or AI or gaming? Where do you nerd out when it comes to the DLT space?
So I love Deepin, but that's because I love like kind of efficiencies and removing kind of wasted use, kind of just in general. So like excess energy or compute and things like that. I just absolutely love that whole concept. I can tell you that the research team here at 21 Shares are very much looking at AI and AI agents as a theme, and even down to culture. Culture is something that is maybe people don't talk about it in the institutional world that much, but culture and community is very much exists within crypto, right? So whether it's meme coins or you know digital, our NFTs or fan tokens, anything like this, it's something that I think is like I love anything that where the community is created or being created around as well.
Yeah, it's fun to watch how all this stuff comes together now, and we're seeing a crossroads, between the traditional financial space and a lot of the stuff that's happening within the Hedera ecosystem. A great example is we had CLSQ just yesterday ringing the bell there at Nasdaq to close it out, and they opened it up a while back. They're doing some great things in quantum computing, but of course they also want to do the transactional Internet of Things. So you said you're passionate about DPIN. That's exciting. Also over there in your neck of the woods, we have Neuron, and they're coming out with stuff all the time, and they were just awarded for being one of the most investable startups in the space. So we have a lot of good things going on there.
Loads.
Yeah. All right. So let's broaden this out a little bit. What do you see going forward for the crypto space in general? Of course, things are getting more and more exciting all the time, but I just want to get your 10,000-foot view of where we are and where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, just because of what's going on in the United States, and even if we don't have an administration that's going to go all out, crypto, we at a minimum have a regulator that's probably not going to put as many blockers in the way. And so you're going to see, I think, a lot more, let's just call it, it's going to be a little bit of a looser policy in general. And what that means is that the larger groups, whether they're financial institutions or in other sectors, are going to become more comfortable, see less risk in going into certain areas. I definitely think payments is going to be massive. I think pretty much every bank has already said that or a major bank has said that they're going to look at this as soon as they feel comfortable to. So that's going to be big. In general, that probably mean that they're going to be comfortable custodying as well. And just these are small building blocks that then allow companies in other sectors to actually build on chain and work on chain. Like custody is just so important. And if you are a big company, consumer discretionary company or industrials company, whatever, that wants to have a project, it's probably easier for you to go with a service provider like a bank that you already have gone through procurement, gone through due diligence on. So if your existing service providers support the technology, the barrier to entry is much lower. So that kind of thing is probably what I see as having a more meaningful impact on the industry going forward. And then just overall more broader retail adoption of cryptocurrency as well. I think you're just going to see more people come into the space, and that just means a lot more liquidity, a lot more volumes as well, which is good for most of the chains.
That's what we're looking forward to. And going back to, building out that infrastructure, some of the time it does feel like we're kind of building the plane while we're flying it, right? Yeah. As we're going along, but it is getting better.
Yeah, definitely. And that whole, the kind of building the plane while you're flying, there are very few companies that are willing to do that, right? So, and understandably, like why does some of to most of the big companies in the world, it at the time is going to look like it's not going to move the needle for them early days, so they don't want to take that risk. It's some of the pioneers that are really willing to do that.
Duncan, this has been a fun conversation. We're not going to take up too much of your time here today, but is there anything else that you'd like to pass on to the Hedera community?
Hey, look, all I'll say is that I'm still around. Really happy to. I mean, it's very humbling to be reappointed to the board. So I'm so glad to get to stay right within the ecosystem. I know that there's a lot of good work going on, both at the council, the board, and with the at the foundation as well. So there'll be some exciting stuff to come this year, I'm sure. And just in general, one thing that we've picked up on when I was on the council and as a board member, the community is so important, and transparency with the community is so important. And we've all committed to improve that transparency and to make sure that the communications are flowing much more than they have been in the past. So watch this space.
All right, sounds good. Now, I want to again offer my congratulations on the new role. We're excited to see what you do at 21 Shares. We appreciate you staying on board at the Hedera Governing Council, and good luck.
Thank you, Brendan.